It's nice to see so many people here that are concerned. My story is very old. Unfortunately, it is still happening today, not only to the young, but also to the old. When I came home from school, at about 8 or 9 years old, I found my grandmother in my bedroom. She was a white-haired lady, and at the time that I found her, I didn't know who she was. She lay still. She didn't move. So I didn't know what to think. But there she was, with her feet underneath the teepee. And I thought, what is this? There's a teepee and a light. I don't understand this. So, of course, being acquisitive at 8 or 9 years old, I went over and I peeked in. 2 black, smelly feet. Oh my gosh. My mother found me in the garage crying. That was my favorite place to go when something didn't quite do what I wanted to do or I didn't understand. I went to the garage. Anyway, she said, yes, this is your grandmother, and yes, she will be living with us until she repairs. Well, I didn't like that idea very well. As a 9-year-old, having first of all to share my bathroom and my bedroom with my baby sister, who was crying all the time, and now with my grandmother. Yuck. Well, anyway, I went downstairs, and there was my Sally dog. And she was happy to see me because she knew she was going to get some handouts underneath the table, some good stuff to eat and some cookies. Well, after supper, it came my time to take care of grandmother. And Mother said, you are responsible to take the tray up to your grandmother, help her eat if necessary, and bring the tray back down to the kitchen. So Mother handed me this tray, and all that was on it was this pile of something or other. I don't know what it was, but it sure smelled bad. So I just reached over on the table and got a couple cookies and put on the tray. Mother said, grandmother cannot have cookies. Oh, everybody likes cookies. Mother was just being mean to grandmother and not letting her have cookies. Grandmother cannot have cookies. Well, I did my duty pretty well, and I went upstairs, and as she was eating whatever this was, I saw a rag doll, Raggedy Ann doll over there, and so I played with that for a while. And then I saw a pair of shiny black shoes, and I thought, oh, I wonder whether Grandma will let me play with those shoes. Clippity-clop, didn't you just hear that notice that when you were youngsters, and it made a wonderful noise. Anyway, pretty soon, I got used to grandmother being in my bedroom. But I was very cautious, and occasionally I'd take a cookie off of my table and put it there. But I always watched very carefully because Mother was very, very affirmative. No cookies for grandmother. Well, pretty soon school was out and summer. And so I wanted to show my grandmother my almost A report card. And as I went up the stairs, she had a surprise for me. And I thought, well, okay, what's the surprise, Grandma? She took out her beautiful red purse and opened it up, and it was full of copper pennies. Well, I'd never seen that many pennies in my whole life. How exciting. What are you going to do with all those pennies? She said, do you know where there's a grocery store that sells penny candy? And I said, yes, Grandma, but I am not going to that store. Old Man Metzger store is scary, and they eat dogs, and I don't want them anywhere near my dog. So she said, no, that's all right, Ann, that's all right. Pretty soon she asked me again, would you go to the store? I'll give you 2 cents, a penny for you and a penny for me. No, Grandma, I'm not going to that bad old store. No, I'm not going. Well, she kept asking, and I got a little braver as I went on. So I took her 2 pennies, and I ran to the door and got scared to death and ran away. And she kept asking and asking. And of course, she couldn't have any cookies, and I didn't understand why Mother was being so mean to her. But anyway, so the next time I did take a couple pennies. I got to the door and I ran away. Grandma still wanted more. So finally I got pretty brave, and I went to the grocery store and went in and laid my 2 pennies on the counter and started to get something. Well, Old Man Metzger grabbed me and carried me behind the counter. Well, I was scared to death. I didn't know it. He had a wart on his nose and black beady eyes and long clawy fingernails. I was scared to death, but I didn't know what to do. And all of a sudden, this witchy wife came out of the nowhere and screeched, "Get out of here!" Well, I ran fast and did not ever want to go back. I didn't know what he was doing. He was playing with me all over and putting more candy in my sack. And finally he got down to the lower level and reached into my panties, and I didn't like it, but I didn't know what was happening. Sex was never a word that we talked about in our house. So anyway, as I'm running back home with this bag of candy, my mother sees me coming, and she is quite aware of maybe what has happened. So she grabs my candy bag and she throws it down on the ground, and of course all my friends are jumping for joy. Oh, we have some candy goodie. With that, Mother grabbed me by the back of my hair. I had 2 big braids, and she grabbed me and she said, "I told you never, never to go to El Man." Yes, Mother, you told me never. She took me up the stairs to the upstairs, and she said to my mother, she says, "I told you never to give pennies to Ann." Well, the next thing I knew, I was in the bathtub, and I was getting the scrub of my life from top to bottom, inside and out, and I was too afraid to holler, "Ouch." It was frightening, and all the time, Mother kept saying, "I told you never, never to go to Old Man." Well, there was no word. I never would go to. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I always was afraid when Mother called me Ann Maxine. Have any of you or Mother ever called you by 2 names? When she said Ann Maxine, I knew I was in big, big trouble. Well, I didn't ever go again to Old Man Metzger's. And when my sister got about, 5 or 6 years old, my mother and friends made a no-touch doll. This was the private area, and you did not touch. Whether you were a male or a female, you did not ever touch the no-touch area. And it was very tempting to be brought to someone's place, house, or into their car with drugs, with money, with candy, with guns. And so I think it's very, very important now to start early with your children talking about sex. Maybe not at a real early age, being very demonstrative about what you're saying, but you can talk in language in which the children would understand and still bring in few of the words that you know. You need to be alert, because sex abuse to people, young and old, happens in places. Schools, the clergy, the schools, the next door neighbor, the family. All of that is happening in the state. And sometimes behind closed doors, we never really realize it, and we're not alert to what is possibly happening. You have a choice in your life, and as Eleanor Roosevelt said, you have choices, and the choices that you make determine who you are. So you need to think before maybe going out on that fun party in the mountains, who are you going with? Or when grandma and you go to her in the nursing home and she's crying, maybe you need to find out, is she being abused? So never give up looking for places that you can help people, children, adults, and all of us. Never give up. Speak out and stay alert. Speak up. Thank you.